Alrighty, in today's video, we're going to be talking about my 1-year experience as a full-time real estate videographer and photographer. Now, I have been filming and photographing real estate for the past 4 years, but it has not been my primary source of income. I've had a full-time job that I've had to work around to be able to do this part-time. But back in late August of last year, I decided to quit that job and pursue this full-time. So how has that experience been, and is the revenue enough to make this a full-time job? Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Ken here, you're watching OriginaldoBo, and if this is your first time here on my channel, I'm a real estate videographer, photographer out of the Tampa, Florida area. And one of the things I like to do on this channel is talk about the back end, talk about the business side, the decisions that make you money in real estate videography and photography. There's a lot of channels out there that do an amazing job of teaching you how to capture photography, how to shoot video, but I don't think they do enough to talk about the real shit that really matters to you financially, such as this. Now, keep in mind as we go through this video that your location, your area, your demographic may vary in the results you are about to achieve. My results are different than yours. My finances and my expectations and my needs are different. So keep that in mind. Perception is key here. All right, let's get into it with what I found worked for me throughout this year. All right, so the first thing I had to do as a photographer was get more clients. And how do you do that? How do you get more clients when you only have maybe 3 or 4 different people that you're working with because you were part-time and a lot of people didn't want to give you a shot because you weren't full-time? Well, what I did was, and it's so stupid, it's so silly, is I asked my current clients for referrals. Yeah, it's literally that easy. I asked them to recommend me. I asked them to provide referrals. And at first, this was sort of a novelty idea. I was like, man, this is not gonna work. But my current clients started doing that. They started recommending me, and I would get another client. And when I would get that next client, I would say the same thing. Hey, I really value you, and I value a referral. If you know anybody who's needing a photographer, please send them my way. Be more than happy to do business with them as well. And just saying that little thing, all of a sudden I went from 4 to 5 clients to 30 clients in like a blink of an eye. Now, some of those clients have come and gone because maybe the market has slowed down. Maybe they were new agents. They weren't prepared for what was happening. There's all sorts of reasons why, but for every client that is left, a new client has trailed behind and picked up where that client left off, just by asking for referrals. Now, the reason why I like referrals and I feel like they work better than running ads is because you're getting a personal recommendation from somebody who actually uses you. So it's a lot more personal to the person who is coming to you, asking you to shoot photos for them or videos for them, because they are coming from a place of trust in somebody that they already know. So if this sounds crazy, ask people for referrals, ask them to refer you, ask them to recommend you to their colleagues, their friends, their brokerage, anybody who's needing photos. It's silly, but it absolutely works. The second thing that I found that worked for me, and this was huge, this was absolutely game-changing for me, was moving appointments to online booking. Allowing the customer to book the appointment and not having them have to text me was, 1, very, very freeing, and 2, super, super convenient. I didn't have to stop what I was doing on a shoot to go ahead and respond to this client in fear that they would go somewhere else. They would just go to the website, book the appointment, and that's it. Super, super easy. Now, with that being said, depending on what software you decide to use to make this happen, there could be some drawbacks involved, which I quickly found out that it wasn't a foolproof idea, but it did make life easier. The first drawback was it wasn't factoring how far the shoots were away from one another, so travel time was not factored. Now, I photograph anywhere from Citrus County all the way down to Hillsborough County. And from Citrus to Hillsborough, that's about an hour and 20-minute drive, give or take. So if I'm doing a shoot and that shoot's going to take me 45 minutes, I now have to factor in an hour drive to get down to the next shoot. And unfortunately, I use Square Appointments and I use Square Up for all of my invoicing, and they don't have any intelligent way to accommodate this. So what I had to end up doing was, one, not allow same-day bookings, and two, not allow appointments within a half an hour of one another. So meaning when somebody books an appointment, if they book me at 12, somebody cannot book me at 12:30. It wouldn't allow me enough time to get to my next appointment. So what I found myself doing is, as soon as an appointment would come through, I would quickly go to the schedule, look at the appointment, see where it was, and then add like 15 minutes to an hour in front of it and block off some time. Yes, this sort of limits how many appointments you can take, but I still had a fair amount of clients that were still calling me, booking an appointment manually or via text. So you're still gonna have clients that don't wanna go online, they're gonna wanna book with you directly, and that's totally fine, but make sure when you take those calls, you put them into your scheduler right away, because if you don't and somebody books over top of that, you're gonna have problems. I've had that happen maybe 2 or 3 times, not a big deal. Everybody's always been very accommodating, but online appointments, super game changing, and it's something I would highly recommend doing. The number 3 thing that worked for me was getting a Google landing page. Having a page on Google will help you build your SEO, so when a realtor is looking for somebody to do video, photos, whatever, your name comes up. Now, if I had to do this all over again, I probably would have thought a little bit more about including imaging in my name, because imaging also has a lot to do with medical. And because it has a lot to do with medical, sometimes my SEO, my searchability gets lumped into like radiology or CAT scans or what the hell, sonogram stuff. So I would get calls asking me if I do sonograms, and I don't, just to be clear, I don't do sonograms. But because I had imaging in my name, I was getting lumped into that. So I had to work on the SEO. I had to create a Google landing page to definitively define myself as a photographer, as a media specialist. So late last year, I changed the name from Apex Imaging to Apex Imaging Media LLC. And that's helped me out a lot. That's allowed me to capture some of that audience that are very Google centric. And I don't get a lot of views. Again, you got to keep in mind, we're not looking for like hundreds of thousands of views on these pages. We're looking for 20 to 30 local views. That's relative to the client base that you're pursuing. I'm predominantly pursuing realtors and people that are in need of media specialists. So 20 to 30 views on those landing pages is adequate for the client base that I am searching after. So those are 3 huge things that worked for me in 2022. Now, something that I found did not work for me in 2022 was virtual tours. I've talked about this a lot. I've completely removed 360 tours, virtual tours from my menu system. And you may be saying to yourself, well, if you don't have it, you can't offer it. And yes, that is true. But the fact was, I had of 30 plus clients, one, and it was always somebody new, would ask me if I did this. It wasn't enough for me to warrant spending $5,000 on a Matterport machine. It wasn't enough for me to pay the $40 a month to Cloud Pano, and it certainly wasn't enough for me to pay the fee that Matterport wanted to contain these houses. And when I polled an audience and polled potential buyers and asked them if they found virtual tours useful, they told me no, because they had to click on a separate link to be able to tour the house, and even then it was cumbersome to sort of navigate, and they didn't get a gist of the overall experience. That they found that looking at the photos was sufficient enough through MLS. So that's just something that I found interesting. So I've just completely removed 360 tours. Now your market may be different. Maybe in your market 360 tours will work, but I can tell you here, it just doesn't work. And I could never get somebody to want to pay the $99 that I would want to charge for those virtual tours. So I completely eliminate it. Something that I have found to replace that, or somewhat replace that, is Cubicasa 2D floor plans. Now, Cubicasa and I have a love-hate relationship simply because when I first started using this app, I didn't know what I was paying for floor plans, and it was generally anywhere between $35 to $40 per floor plan, which when you're selling them for $50 to $75, you were making literally no money. I was almost spending more on floor plans to offer them than I was actually making. Some point halfway through the year, Cubicasa finally decided that that was way too much to utilize that. They dropped the price to $15 per created floor plan with fixed furniture, and then they dropped the price to free, so that way you can create a floor plan, but it doesn't have any fixed furniture, but it doesn't cost you anything. So it makes it a lot more capable for me to be able to do that and at least make some money for the time that I spend scanning these houses. It just becomes a lot more worth it to do. So Cubicasa floor plans have been awesome, very instrumental in presenting an add-on sale to an agent that once before would probably say no to 360, but see the value in floor plans because one, now they don't have to measure a house. Two, they give their clients a visualization of the room layouts and the measurements. It just works absolutely awesome. All right, so those are some of the things I've implemented that worked for me for this year, but what about the revenue? How much have we made? How many shoots have we done throughout the year? So let's go over these numbers here because these numbers I think are pretty good for being a first year person doing this for my very first time, full-time. So let me open up to my reports here. Like I said, I use Square for everything. I'm gonna go to my 1 year. Now, yes, we are in November, but I'm already calculating what I'll end up doing for the remaining portion of the year based on last year's numbers. So let's just go over the sales. So far for this year, we have 312 sales. Now keep in mind that the sales include different jobs on an invoice. That's per invoice. And sometimes clients leave invoices open for long periods of time. And because they leave those invoices open, I just keep adding shoots to that invoice. So that doesn't reflect the total number of houses that we have photographed or filmed. That's just how many invoices I have processed throughout the year. So that's almost one invoice per day if you look at it like that, excluding weekends, of course. The average sale price was $286.47. Now I've went ahead and broken everything up into categories as well. That's one nice thing about Square is that you can break things up into categories. So let me just drop down to the counts here. So somewhere I think in April or March, I decided I was gonna reorganize my shoots. So for real estate photos, I have done 87 shoots, but then a portion of the way through the year, I changed it from real estate MLS photos to real estate photo package, and I've done 217 of those. So in total, that's over 300 houses with photos. When it comes to real estate video, I have done 25 real estate videos. If we're looking at it in this way, I also have a video and photo package, and sometimes the client would click on that, and that was 4 of those. So in total, we've probably done 29 real estate videos. We've filmed 29 houses essentially. For drone photos, I have been dispatched to do just drone photos 26 times. So that's, you know, that's pretty interesting, I would say, at least. I mean, that's not bad. For 2D floor plans, I have done 75 2D floor plans since I implemented those back in, I wanna say it was early May I implemented those. So I've done over 75 floor plans in May. I've done 75 floor plans since May. So that just shows you 75 floor plans. You times that by $60 a floor plan. You do the math minus the cost of what a floor plan is, and it's about $15 for fixed furniture. So it's pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with these numbers. Now, before I get into the numbers, I do want to make mention that you do need to be certified to do 107 work. And the easiest way to learn about becoming certified and be confident enough to take your 107 class is with Pilot Institute. And right now, Pilot Institute is offering their 107 course for $107 during their Black Friday sale. And one nice thing about Pilot Institute is you gain lifetime access to that course. And when you're done with that course, they offer other courses that will help you expand your verticals in this industry or other industries. We have recently filmed a real estate photography and videography course that will also be on sale this Black Friday. So if you want to know more about the details or the hows, whys, and whats of how I got here, what my tactics are when filming, photographing a home, click on those links in the description below. Help you get yourself in a direction to where you can just work for yourself and quit working for the man. All right, so factoring in the fact that we still have the rest of this month and December to go, I am going to say relatively, I believe that the month of December is going to be slow. I'm factoring that I'm going to do about $5,500 for the month of December. Now, last year, doing this part-time, I made $21,908 last year. So last year we did $21,908 for the entire year. This year, so far, to the month of November, we have made $89,378.84 off of 312 invoices at an average of $286.47. Now, that doesn't factor in my gas. That doesn't factor in the office rent, which this rent is factored into the YouTube money and to other money, so I don't really factor that here. But if I had to say gross net revenue after I back out all of my fees, I'm probably gonna end up with a net revenue profit of $75,000 after everything is all said and done. Which, can you make this a full-time job on $75,000 a year? Yes, you can, because if you don't live outside of your means, and if you were used to making, let's say, $60,000 a year, this is a huge, huge upgrade. And yeah, last year when I was working for that software company, they were only paying me $65,000 a year. I had to report to somebody. I had to work 40 hours a week for somebody else. I'd rather work 24 hours a day for myself than for someone else. So for me, $75,000 a year that I can take to the bank, minus my taxes, which will probably put me at about $65,000 take home, is still damn good money and nothing to be ashamed of, because we were able to do it for ourselves. And even with the market being as hard as it was, agents didn't need me to do photos. These houses were selling. And right now, because the market is on the decline, agents will need people like me, people like you, all that much more. So it's only heating up. So if you think that this is a bad time to get into the market, you are wrong. This is the perfect time to become a photographer and videographer, because they are going to need more advertising than ever before to stand out, capture those buyers, and capture those qualified buyers, and capture those sellers that are maybe on the fence on whether or not they should put their home on the market. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. I try to be as transparent about this business as I possibly can. I think it's important to set realistic expectations. Keep in mind, I'm here in Florida. Florida is completely fucked up in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to real estate. So hopefully you can take some of what I've talked about here, apply it to your business, and better yourself. I will see you in the next video. Stay original. Don't forget that 107 course on sale, Pilot Institute, $107, the cheapest ever, and you get lifetime access. I will see you in the next video.